Hello and welcome. You're watching UTV Live at 6.
Good evening. These are the stories making the headlines.
The King has stripped his brother Andrew of his titles, prompting calls for his name to be stripped away from street signs here.
I actually agree with it. I think he's brought shame on the royal family.
I think for the sake of the royal family, he had no choice.
Sowing the seeds of discontent, farmers deliver a vote of no confidence in the Department of Agriculture.
And floods that devastated parts of County Down may have gone, but businesses fear it could happen again.
Also tonight,
I'm at a County Down Animal Rescue Centre as it urges people to think carefully about the commitment needed before adopting a dog.
Ireland are in the Windy City aiming to blow away the All Blacks.
I'm here in Derry, Europe's Halloween capital, ahead of the annual Halloween Carnival.
And after a wet and windy start to Halloween, things calming down, but does that set us up for a decent weekend? I'll have your forecast later.
The shockwaves from Prince Andrew's seismic fall from grace are being felt far and wide. The King has stripped his brother of all his royal titles as the scandal over his connections with the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein continued to cast a shadow over the royal household.
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, as he'll now be known, denies all the allegations. But the scandal has led to calls for his name to be removed from street signs in Northern Ireland. Councillors in Carrickfergus are set to debate a proposal to change the name of Prince Andrew Way. We've been to the seaside town to get reaction. He's now Andrew, formerly known as Prince, after he was booted out of the royal family by his own brother, the King. Here he is with His Majesty recently at the funeral of the Duchess of Kent. Last night, Charles publicly stripped him of all his remaining titles, including Prince and the Baron of Killyleagh. He's also being evicted from the royal residence he shares with his ex-wife, Fergie. Trips to Northern Ireland are all parts of the job. Here's Andrew in Carrickfergus back in the 90s. It's a place where the royals are popular. The late Queen's son has a road named after him. But for how much longer?
Yes, I know it's named after him, but why change it?
You think that road sign should be changed?
I think so, yes, I do. And it's not that much of a difficulty, is it, taking, getting another sign printed and a new one up?
I would, find my way, I would get it removed.
For a decade now, Andrew's relationship with this man, convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, and the allegations made by one of Epstein's victims, Virginia Giuffre, have haunted him. He continues to strongly deny the claims, but the King has spoken, and last night, in a shock statement from Buckingham Palace, His Majesty made his feelings clear. Prince Andrew will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. These censures are deemed necessary, notwithstanding the fact he continues to deny the allegations against him. The 65-year-old stepped away from being a working member of the royal family in 2019 because of the controversy. Belfast City Council say any application for the renaming of a street needs to be accompanied by a petition of at least 1/3 of the residents of the street. And Mid and East Antrim are aware of the statement issued by His Majesty, and any potential changes to street names within the borough would need to be brought before the council for consideration.
How long have you known about Andrew and Epstein?
It's clear the King himself has had enough of the headlines, and he'll be hoping the Prince Andrew problem will now go away. Sarah O'Kane, UTV Live. The tensions between farmers and the Department of Agriculture have been laid bare, with the Ulster Farmers Union passing a vote of no confidence in the department.
Well, the union says frustration in the farming community has reached breaking point over issues such as pollution crisis in Lough Neagh and proposals over nutrient management. The department said they're disappointed by the vote and are encouraging the UFU to come forward to discuss their issues. Niamh McMullen reports.
The Ulster's Farmers Union has delivered a clear message. Confidence in the Department of Agriculture, Environment and Rural Affairs, they say, has collapsed. After months of tension, the union's executive has unanimously backed a vote of no confidence in the department. They claim repeated warnings have been ignored.
It's a reset. It's DAERA to recognise enough's enough. Farmers have had enough. They don't like the fact they have got blamed for a lot of stuff which isn't their fault. They don't like the fact they haven't got recognised for the good works that they've been doing over the years. There's a number of issues, and these are all long-term issues that have been going on for quite some time. So we have things like TB, an animal disease in cattle, which also affects wildlife, which for years, for decades, has been affecting our livestock farming and also affecting our wildlife, and nothing's been done about it to help with that either. So a much longer list than that of problems.
The motion was first proposed in early summer, following the proposals of the Nutrients Action Programme. This is a plan set out to improve water quality by preventing pollution. But with tighter rules on phosphorus levels from slurry spreading and storage, farmers could face rising costs and resource pressures.
Lough Neagh is one issue that the NAP proposals aim to improve, but farmers argue the blue-green algae problems are far more complex and can't simply be pinned on agriculture alone.
Yeah, listen, I think everybody is beginning to realise that Lough Neagh is a societal issue. It has happened over decades. It will take a number of decades probably to get it sorted. I think we will get it sorted. I think if society works together, we can sort out the issues around Lough Neagh. It's a difficult portfolio for a minister, no doubt about that. That's why there are organisations like ourselves. We want to work with DAERA in order to address those issues. What is good for farming is good for the environment, and what's good for the environment is good for farming.
In a statement, the Department of Agriculture says it's disappointed to learn of the vote and said it's always open to discuss issues with them.
I'm disappointed, they're disappointed. They should be fully aware of the frustrations, because we have been telling them about those frustrations for some time now. Nothing's happening. There's no progress. We talk and then we talk more and then we talk more, but we never get progress. And that's what we have to say. No, we cannot continue with this. These are critical key issues for our industry, and we need a Department of Agriculture that we can sit down with in good faith on the basis that we actually can seriously tackle these issues.
The union has made their position clear. Farmers are demanding change and they're no longer prepared to wait. Niamh McMullen, UTV Live.
Now, an animal rescue centre says the past few days have been some of the busiest, most emotional and heartbreaking it has faced in many years. In just 3 days, the centre in County Down has had 36 surrender requests for dogs and 23 for cats.
As the number of abandoned pets soars, they're urging people to think very carefully before committing to adopting an animal after having a request to swap a dog that had been adopted. Nathan Hanna paid them a visit.
A loving home for those who need one. And with nearly 400 animals on site, ranging from cats and dogs to geese and even pigs, there's enough love and affection here for everyone. At Almost Home in Moira, they rescue, rehabilitate and rehome. But recently, it's been so busy that Karen had to cut short a family break.
I had taken the kids away, and due to getting a call about a dog that needed to be returned, I ended up having to cut my break short and come home to sort out. And I understand fully, we sign contracts, so I want our dogs to come back. Any animal I rehome, if they're not happy, they need to come back here, because it's a lifetime commitment for us. It's not just until somebody gets fed up or things change, and circumstances do change. But it doesn't happen overnight. I don't magically have a rescue space sitting, and as I said, for every rescue space that's sitting empty, there's a dog dies somewhere.
An important part of Almost Home Animal Rescue is Heather House.
Heather House is built for older dogs and those dogs that are too sick to put out into public. And you often find a lot of people don't want to take on a dog that has massive health issues or is going to have a really short time to live. And we hear all the time, but it won't live for long and then we'll be heartbroken. And we get that. That's understandable. So we built this house for these guys just to live their best life.
Pups such as Lisa, Travis and Cassie here will be staying at Heather House, but other dogs will be needing a new home. Just last week they welcomed Wolfie, who was struggling to walk as his nails were so long.
He was too sore even to touch, his hair was so badly matted. And then he moved himself into Heather House for rehabilitation, and he looks quite settled and happy in here now.
Helen has been volunteering here for 9 years.
You could come in here on your worst day and you leave with a smile on your face, because they just have that effect on you. People say we're great what we do, we look after these dogs and whatever, but they give us so much more than we give them, and that's the truth. And if anybody's thinking about volunteering, I can't recommend it enough.
On social media, the Rescue Centre is urging the public to remember that if they're thinking of adopting, it's not for a trial.
For me, if I take on a dog, it's for that dog's lifetime. It's not until something changes, until I get fed up, until it eats the furniture. It's forever. It's a commitment. You know, they're living souls.
Thankfully, here to save some of those souls is Karen and her team of volunteers. Nathan Hanna, UTV Live.
A fresh appeal for information has been made over 20 years on after the murder of a man in East Belfast on Halloween night. 46-year-old Arthur Berryman died after being stabbed a number of times by a masked man at his home on Imperial Street in the Woodstock area. 2 people were charged in connection with the murder, but the charges were later withdrawn and no one has been convicted.
The Justice Minister has described the Treasury's refusal to fund a potential £120 million compensation payout for police officers affected by the 2023 data breach as reckless. Naomi Long said public services would suffer if the money had to be sourced from the Executive's existing budget. 2 years on from the flooding that badly affected areas such as Newry and Downpatrick, the Department for Infrastructure is highlighting the importance of flood management.
It's rolled out flood protection schemes that aim to safeguard homes and businesses. But business owners are now concerned that not enough has been done and that flooding could happen again. Daniel Duffy reports.
Raindrops bouncing off the tarmac, an all too familiar sight in Downpatrick. Thankfully today the impact was nowhere near as bad as the serious flooding that took place here 2 years ago.
These are customers' dresses, okay?
Ciara Douglas's shop was gutted by the floodwater. She still worries about the potential of another event like the one in 2023.
That is a scary reflection while I'm looking out the window behind you. To be honest, Dan, you're seeing that rain, the rainfall that has been coming this last few weeks again, as it did 2 years ago. And you're wondering, is our flood defences going to work this time, or are they going to fail like they did before?
In terms of support, what kind of support would you want? You know, is it financial? Is it infrastructure put into the town? You know, what does that look like for a business owner?
I think it needs to be infrastructure. And I'm not the one holding the money to say how this is done. I'm a shopkeeper, so I don't know how long that takes to be done. But in my opinion, it's not being done quick enough. You know, they've seen the town under 8 feet of water. If that's what they want to gain, take a look outside. That's what they're going to get.
The Department for Infrastructure set up schemes in the aftermath of the flooding that took place in Downpatrick and further afield, helping to raise awareness of any potential threat to life and business.
Flood risk management is multifaceted. I mean, we are developing schemes to combat against flooding in terms of flood defence schemes, and we're developing in terms of preparation, advising communities how they can respond better, how they understand flood risk within their communities, and we have over 50 of these groups within the north.
Newry was also heavily impacted by the flooding. A flood warning system is being trialled in the city, a first of its kind in Northern Ireland.
Risk is ever present, and with climate change that risk is increasing. So where we are at the minute is trying to put in place temporary mitigants until we get permanent defences in place over the next number of years. We work in partnership with the Rivers Agency, who are fantastic to work with. We have a pilot flood warning system, the first in Northern Ireland. We have regular meetings sharing information and best practice. We have pre-advanced sandbag stores, we have temporary flood measures, and we have a true partnership to look at what the risk is and how we mitigate it.
As the leaves change colour and we move towards winter, the people of Downpatrick are hoping there won't be a repeat of 2023's deluge. Daniel Duffy, UTV Live in County Down.
Time now to look at tonight's ITV News at 6:30.
Yes, with the details of what's coming up, here's Lucrezia Millarini.
Coming up on the ITV Evening News, the pressure piles on Andrew. Mr Mountbatten Windsor is struck from the role of peerage, and Virginia Giuffre's family demand he's investigated further. Well, Andrew's always denied allegations against him, from the Queen's favourite son to being banished to Sandringham. We look at his rise and incredible fall. Plus, 6:30.
Back here, it's time for sport.
Yes, here's Will.
What a drive. John Mulholland Motors, sponsors of UTV Sport.
Good evening. The Autumn Internationals get underway this weekend, and Ireland are in Chicago to face New Zealand once again at Soldier Field, the scene of that historic victory in 2015. 9 years ago, the rugby landscape changed forever as Ireland defeated the All Blacks for the first time ever. In 28 previous meetings across 111 years, there had only ever been one winner. And now the two sides are back at the home of the NFL Chicago Bears as the world's second and third best teams go head to head.
It's a privilege to be here. The city, of what it means obviously a little bit more to everyone now because of the game in 2016. I'm talking about Irish people now. There's plenty of Irish living over here anyway, as we've seen. There's certainly thousands coming in the droves as we speak. So knowing what happened in 2016, it was a fantastic occasion. Again, it's a privilege to be here for the Battle of Chicago round 2, is it? This is where you want to be. This is the challenge that you want in front of your team to see how you react. You know, we're the privileged ones to be given this opportunity. And we constantly say big opportunities are there to be taken, and if they're not, then we've got to understand why and learn from that anyway. So in that regard, you can't lose.
Stuart McCluskey is back in the lineup and named at inside centre, the only Ulster player in the starting 15.
Yeah, a lot of the hard work was done last week. A few cobwebs blown out from the travel. Yeah, and then into this week, more prep, a bit of detail on some of the plays we ran, and yeah, it's getting ready for the weekend. Yeah, it's great. Been around a while, a few starts here and there, but no, it's obviously a massive game and a lot of memories going back to that game the lads won in 2016. So yeah, looking forward to getting out there and seeing what Soldier Field's like.
Well, Tom McKibben has continued his good start at the Hong Kong Open. The tournament winner will secure a place at next year's Masters and Open Championship. And after shooting a course record 10 under par round of 60 yesterday, McKibben followed it up with a 5 under par round today to maintain the lead. There's 2 games in the Irish Premiership this evening. Bangor entertained Carrick, while second place Glentoran looked to cut the gap to leaders Coleraine against Portadown. The Glen staged a late comeback to beat Crusaders in their last match.
We're really looking forward to it, obviously, after the highs at the last 5 minutes of the weekend there. I think we've been kind of chipping at the bit to go. I think that we showed great character to go on and win, and I think there's a kind of confidence, but hopefully carry that on to Friday night.
Well, meanwhile, the League of Ireland concludes tomorrow. Shamrock Rovers clinched the league title earlier this week, but Derry City are aiming to secure second spot, and no victory at already relegated Cork City will guarantee the runners-up spot in Tiernan Lynch's first season in charge, which started with just 1 win in his first 5 games.
See where maybe we've got ourselves to at this stage, and you think about maybe how we started this season. But listen, we knew when we were coming in here that this was always going to be a journey for us. This was always something that was going to probably take a little bit of time. So there's probably mixed emotions if truth be told. We haven't secured second place yet, but that has to be our objective. Can we win their last game, trying to secure second place? We have secured European football, which is great, but that's not why we came here. We didn't come here to finish second, or we didn't come here just to try and get European football. And this is a big club and it has big ambitions, and our job is to try and help them fulfil that.
Well, in Gaelic games, there's a first round game in the Ulster Football Senior Club Championship. Newly crowned Antrim champions Dunloy travel to Owenbeg to face Newbridge, who retained the John McLaughlin Cup in their centenary year. Defending Elite League champions, the Belfast Giants have 2 tough road games this weekend, starting tonight versus the Panthers in Nottingham, and then again on Saturday against the Sheffield Steelers. Head coach Adam Keefe says his team needs to learn to win as a group.
We need to be ready for every game, and that's, nothing's going to be given to us. We have to go back and earn, first place, and that's where it takes. So, we did that last year. We're going to have to keep fighting to get to that stage again. And it's about learning to win as a group.
Well, that's all your sport this evening. Have a good weekend.
What a drive. John Mulholland Motors, sponsors of UTV Sport.
Now it's Halloween, and as people dress up, trick or treat and celebrate some ghoulish fun, a tale of witchcraft from over 300 years ago has been brought back to life.
Yes, the Isla McGee witch trials have inspired a new game that's bringing history to life for young people. Rory O'Regan has the story.
There's a rugged beauty to the East Antrim coastline, but these shores provide the backdrop to a dark chapter of our past. In 1711, 8 women and a man were convicted of bewitching an 18-year-old woman called Mary Dunbar. That grim period has now been brought to life in a video game developed by Ulster University, and it'll be made available free of charge to schools across Northern Ireland.
It's the last trial in Ireland as part of the witch hunts, and 9 people were tried and found guilty of witchcraft in Carrickfergus. Most of them were from Isla McGee, and that's why they're called the Isla McGee witches.
Based on historical research, the area at the time has been recreated for the game. A replica pillory on Carrick High Street, the inspiration for the one used to punish the women. Meanwhile, Northgate in the town is returned to its former glory. The scenic St Browns Bay on the tip of Isla McGee is also reimagined. Carrickfergus Museum holds copies of the trial's depositions, and in them we can read Mary Dunbar's allegations from the time. On one occasion, she describes how when one of the accused, Catherine McCalmont, walked into her room, she fell into such a violent fit of pains that 3 people were not able to hold her. And so she declared that Catherine was one of her tormentors.
These people were marginal people, they were poor, they had disabilities, they were ill educated, you know. We're not trivialising this, and it's very sensitively handled, and that's why it has to be historical as well, because there was 9 people, real people with relatives and lives, and I see it as partly a commemorative piece as well, to remember them as well.
The women's punishment was a year in prison and 4 stints in the pillory. It's thought the man was probably executed.
And it was important for us to have a platform to tell a very unique piece of Irish cultural history that has so much resonance today. Like, we live in a very polarised society. We do have a problem with violence against women and girls, and this is a game that's really deeply entertaining, but also about power, about gender, about religion, about violence, and about what it actually means to be othered. And I mean, who could not do with hearing that message?
More than 300 years on, there are still lessons to be learnt from our very own dark ages. Rory O'Regan, UTV Live.
Now, if that wasn't spooky enough for you, it's officially Fright Night. Yes, the ghosts and ghouls will be out in force in Londonderry this evening for one of Europe's biggest Halloween carnivals.
Yes, tens of thousands of revellers are expected to pack the city street for the amazing spectacular. And we have a very scary Jordan. Where's your costume? Where's his costume?
Yes, indeed, Sarah. I will get my costume later, don't worry. But welcome to Fright Night here in Derry, Europe's Halloween capital. And I did wonder why neither you or Paul had made the trip down here, but it must be because you're too scared. And I'm not surprised, because I'd be quite frightened too with these people behind me from City of Derry Rugby Club. And of course, they will be joined by many other people here tonight. But first of all, yesterday was obviously a washout because of the weather, but that has not dampened spirits here tonight, because the main event is about to get underway, the Halloween Carnival. And that will see 700 or so participants take to the streets, and they will try to stir up a fright for roughly around thousands upon thousands of people who will watch them from the sidelines. As I walked through the town today, I realised I was one of the few people, as you say, without a costume. So I thought a good place for me to start would be to speak to a few people who were dressed up to see why they're here. What made you come to Derry for Halloween?
I'm a fan of Derry girls, so we just wanted to, I guess,
go to Derry.
Go to Derry.
And then it happened to be Halloween. We've seen a report of this event here, and we said, why not being part of that?
It's everyone pitching in and enjoying it, even though we've had bad times as a city. But it's all forgotten about for one night.
And what's the best thing about the parade?
Just seeing everybody dressed up and all the children having a great time. I think it's brilliant.
Well, of course, one person here who is dressed up is the mayor himself, Rory McHugh. Rory, take us through the get-up, the outfit. What's it all about?
Well, if you know the crest of the city, it has a skeleton on it called Walter de Burgh, and this year's Halloween theme is actually the city of Bowen, so have to get a literal hat tip to the Northwest Carnival Initiative, who picked out my costume for me, so thanks very much to them.
And what's it like being mayor of this city on Halloween?
It's absolutely fantastic. The atmosphere has been building all week, and I've come to the festivities here year on year since I was a young boy and as an adult, and I've seen several mayors lead the parade, and never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that I would be one day leading the parade, so it gives me a great sense of pride, both in myself and the city and the district.
And with this city, what is it about Derry itself that makes it so special for Halloween?
Well, being the mayor, I have the privilege of welcoming so many tourists and visitors to the city, and a lot of them always say to me, there's something about the people of Derry, the sense of community and that famous warm welcome. So I think that really adds to making Derry the capital of Halloween in Ireland, and indeed the biggest carnival in Europe. But hopefully next year, being the 40th year, we're going to be the biggest and best in the world.
Well, there we go. You heard it here first. The biggest and the best in the world next year. I need to go get my costume because I do look like the odd one out. But before we go, this will all end with a fireworks display over the foil. And there's only one thing left for me and everybody else to say, and that's Happy Halloween!
Happy
Brilliant.
Halloween. Very
Absolutely
good
brilliant.
indeed. Thank you, Jordan. Top marks to the mayor and all those spooky wee faces there.
Well, that looked absolutely amazing. So what has the Halloween weather got in store for us? Here's Ross Hutchinson.
It's time to take a rain check. There's no place like home. UTV weather. Sponsored by the Grand Airona R290 heat pump.
Hello, good evening and happy Halloween. A bit of a horror with the weather first thing today. We saw plenty of rain around, some strong winds as well. That calmed down into the afternoon, leaving us with clearer skies, still breezy, and that's taking us through this evening, but overnight showers, further areas of rain. That does set the scene as we head through the next few days. The showers hit and miss, but sometimes on the sharper side, windy at times too, but we do get some decent spells of late autumn sunshine. Low pressure nearby at the moment, keeping things changeable, keeping things unsettled at times. We've got the rain moving through overnight into the early hours. Through tomorrow, things will start to brighten up. Just a few isolated showers, but then into Sunday, again, we are watching the west. We've got this band of rain here moving through. Mostly patchy, but again, there could be the odd heavier burst of rain as we end the weekend. For now, though, mostly dry, breezy though, those winds coming up from that mild direction, they're lifting this rain up towards us as we head into those early hours, still lingering into tomorrow morning. The brighter colours here showing those heavier bursts of rain as temperatures hold up at around 7 or 8 degrees. So not too chilly as we head into the weekend, but it is looking like a rather messy start very first thing. Through the morning, the rain is clearing through and the sun is developing. As we make our way through the day, for most of us, it is staying dry, bright and breezy, but you can see a scattering of showers are moving through. Thanks to those winds, they're rattling through quickly. Temperature-wise, 9 or 10 degrees in the winds, feeling just that little bit fresher. Now, looking a bit further afield as we make our way through Saturday, similar sort of story. Blustery winds, particularly out towards the west coast. Elsewhere, plenty of sunshine, highs of around 9 or 10 degrees. Through the next few days, up and down, a scattering of sometimes heavy showers, turning mild again as we start the new week.
UTV weather, sponsored by the Grand Airona R290 heat pump.
Thanks, Ross. Now, UTV Live is coming up at 7 o'clock.
Here's Pamela with a flavour of what's on the programme.
Yes, on UTV Live tonight at 7, the rock legend John Bon Jovi was in Dublin last week and Nathan Hanna was the lucky man who got to meet him. We'll be hearing from him and hearing Bon Jovi's latest track too. I'll be talking to two young rising stars appearing in the new TV series Trespasses, and award-winning photographer Nigel Mottier will be telling me about his new book, Beneath Irish Seas. That's UTV Live tonight at 7, right after the national weather and on ITVX.
Well, that's UTV Live this Halloween. Don't forget you can keep up to date on our website. Simply search UTV News.
And I'll be back with your late news at 10:30. I hope you can join me then. The ITV News continues with Lucrezia, but from Sarah, me and everyone here at UTV, have a great evening.